Hi there. So judging from a poll that I recently had in one of my community tab posts, here is this video. So in terms of what to start out with, I'm first going to start with some info on both of my accounts for Global and JP Opera Omnia. So starting with Global, I had about 51 BT plus weapons and 31 force weapons, meaning that these characters had no burst weapons, and then I had about 35 missing burst weapons, so that's fun. But at least on JP it was, the luck on JP wasn't so great. So on JP I had about 53 BT plus weapons, and then I had 40 force weapons that were maxed out, again characters with no burst weapons, and a whopping 51 missing burst weapons. Fun times, and now I don't have enough gems to get the rest. What a wonderful time. And then in terms of the crystal color with the most maxed out characters, I'll start with Global first. So on Global, green was my most maxed out in terms of the crystal color with the most maxed out characters, and then the crystal color with the least amount of maxed out characters was white and yellow. I noticed that I didn't really focus on these colors for some reason, I have no idea. And then on JP, the crystal color with the most maxed out characters was red and blue. I noticed that I really did enjoy playing with those characters with those crystal colors, and the one with the least maxed out characters was green and yellow. Seems like I wasn't really a fan of yellow for some reason on both accounts, which is strange. And I'm going to get onto the characters that I enjoyed the most. Of course, I mentioned this in my end of service video. Sir Reigns was my absolute favorite. I am never not going to like him, just because I really like his animations, and yes, he doesn't do the best damage, I will admit. I used to gaslight myself into thinking he did a lot, but I understand why he didn't get a lot. He didn't actually get a decent rework, and now with end of service he's never going to get one. What a fun time. I absolutely love that. And then Gladio was also a character that I really love, just because of the fact that he can cover, and knowing that Global is never going to get his burst effect was actually great as well. Gladio, he got a very good rework with Odin Spiritus. Sadly, we won't be getting that on Global. And then for another character that really surprised me, he was a Global first, and that's Core. Core really surprised me in terms of what he could do, in terms of placing that buff on one of your party members and they couldn't be broken. It was actually nice, and his BT effect also helped too. Core really stood out for me in terms of off-turn damage dealers. He really helped me in a lot of cases where I was supposed to die in some of these fights, and he just helped me out so much. I absolutely love Core. And then another character that I know I said in my regrets video is X-Death. X-Death really stood out to me as a character that was unique, and in my regrets video I mentioned that because I didn't have a lot of use for him, he just sat there, and he doesn't even have a force weapon either. He didn't even get another rework, and now he's never going to get one. It's quite unfortunate, because X-Death has one of those unique qualities in him in terms of HP sap, and the first time he came out he was the only character to have it. So I'm a bit disappointed that he won't be getting an FR weapon or a decent rework, because he does stand out, and that BT effect with the HP sap is also great. If they extended the turns on his BT effect with that would have been so great. Another character that I really enjoyed, who also came out of Data Mine Hell, was Amaranth. Amaranth stood out because he was ranged, he had an overhead buff. I actually don't know how it works. I will be honest, every time I played with Amaranth, I'm like, I actually don't know what this overhead does. But in terms of him coming out of Data Mine Hell, having a rather nonchalant FR animation with Size, I actually really like Amaranth. I enjoyed using him where I could. I think the last fight that I used him in, I can't even remember. I think it was a story chapter or something in JP, and I really did like Amaranth a lot. I'll see if I can use him anywhere, because I am doing 6-man on JP. I'm actually doing it. Finally got time to do it with the holiday season, so that's a lot of fun with Amaranth. I actually do like him. And then Leo was also a character that I really enjoy, just because I just like his character. What else can I say? His animations were very smooth in this game, especially with Precision Strike, and with his EX ability I really liked it. In terms of his BT animation, yeah, I know those who have played Final Fantasy VI know what happens to him, between him and Kefka, the relationship shown there. Yeah, I don't like the fact that he unlocked a memory for me, but it's Leo, and I really enjoy Leo. And then Kalga was also a character that I will never not stop praising, just because of how good he is. You slap that BT effect on it, and of course with his force weapon, if his FR ability is active, he can do a lot. He can punch out a lot of damage to the enemies, and it also helps that he can miss. So if he's doing a solo with him, an enemy misses, and you enforce time with him, then he can just smack them left and right. It's actually quite fun when it comes to Kalga. Kina was also another character that I really liked. At first I wasn't really sold on Kina just because it looked just weird. I did the tongue, man. I don't understand the tongue, but you know, whatever. Kina was a character that I really do enjoy, and yeah, not only because of the damage, just like Astos and Kina I was actually surprised by, especially Astos. But then after a while I realized, you know, Astos is actually quite average. He can just punch things provided that he has enough stored value with his overhead buff, and then he can just do baba, then the bosses are dead. So yeah, it became apparent to me that he is not all that fun, but I really did enjoy using Astos. Now in terms of the characters that I did not like, there's actually not too many. I think one that I particularly don't enjoy. Oof, this is actually tough. There's actually not a lot of characters I don't like, except for Adonai. Adonai I'll never not like. I just don't like her. You know, I don't know what the character's like. I've never played Final Fantasy 15. I can't say. So yeah, Adonai is not a character that I enjoy. I never went for her when she was a global first. I didn't think it was necessary for me to go after her. And then another character, I actually don't have any other character that I don't like, except for Cloud, but I never liked Cloud. So in this game it was fine, but outside of this game I actually don't like Cloud. And then other than that, I think those are the only two characters that I just didn't like. Quite short. Now we can move on to the era that I enjoyed the most, which was in fact Chaos. I also did a community poll in my community tab whether which era, you know, my community liked the most, and a lot of people said Chaos era. Now Chaos era is one of those times where I was like, ooh, I actually don't know what to expect. The boss mechanics actually mattered, and was also a true shift from Cosmos difficulty, which I really enjoyed. And I remember going up against my very first Chaos fight. It wasn't the first event one. I think it was with these eyeball bosses. It wasn't that. It was actually Garland's event when he first came out against the colorless queen. That fight was actually very difficult, and that was when we were introduced to the EX pluses, where we could purple the EX weapons. Man, those were some great times. And then two other memorable fights from that time was definitely the Demon Wall. I think that was when Leo first came around, and he was, I think, a very strong delay character at the time. And then the Count's teams from Deuce's Lost Chapter. Those were very difficult because one of the requirements was literally that you had 0 HP damage taken. That was, I will never forget that. And then the worst fights. Definitely the Blackened Wall at the end of Dimensions in Entropy. I did not like the Blackened Wall. That thing was tough. It regenerated his health all the time in the second phase. Absolutely annoying. And then Odin Chaos. Then again, Odin has the worst fights in this game alongside Shiva. Absolutely hated Odin's Chaos. I think that was when Noctis got his burst the first time and his LD weapon. Absolutely hated that fight. And then for some reason, another fight that I also found particularly difficult was Keeper of the Farseer. So that was Caius's debut event against those giants. You know, those those grey, black and white giants, the one with the red eyes, and they would put the shields up on them all the time. That was just the worst. I absolutely hated that fight. And then Shiva was also not so fun. Actually, a lot of the summon fights in Chaos difficulty wasn't fun. The brothers gave me a bit of a hard time too. So those were some of the worst fights in the best era that I found, which was Chaos. Chaos era really showed the true shift from Cosmos difficulty, and it really showed what the bosses could do with different mechanics and whatnot. Now in terms of the worst era in this game, and that would be Lufenia Plus, the end of Lufenia Plus. Because I remember there were a few fights here and there that were quite tough. I can't remember if Kate Sith's event with that mission dungeon was Lufenia Plus. I can't actually remember that far back, but I know that fight was a terrible one. But at the end of Lufenia Plus, especially with that behemoth, I think that was when King got his LD. That was just the worst. That was a terrible fight. And then of course Shinryu and Re-Shinryu. I mentioned in my end of service video that they couldn't really do much in terms of revitalizing the game with Re-Shinryu, and that was truly unfortunate. and a disappointment, because I believe that Shinryu could actually, reignite the game in some way, and alas, it couldn't. People were losing interest. Shinryu era was already not as much fun. People actually had to make challenges all by themselves, for themselves, to make Shinryu a little bit more interesting and more intriguing in terms of engaging bosses. And it never really came, it never really stood up to what it could do. I believe early Shinryu was the best time, around about when Kane got his FR. When Camelot came around, I think that's where things really started to change, because Camelot was doing a lot of damage at the time. He was actually quite good, and then of course later on we got Astos and Kina and Leonora, all of these characters doing a lot, Rufus and Jill Sazat. Yeah, we were doing too much damage with characters and the bosses weren't doing enough, and it's truly disappointment. Truly disappointment, excuse me. And then Force Echoes was also a bit of a mistake in terms of the worst era for Shinryu and Shinryu, because Force Echoes, you could easily dominate the bosses with relative ease. Again, I don't understand why they would do this, why you would, allow your team, or the player's team rather, to just stomp a boss so easily. It really reminded me a lot of the end of Lufenia Plus, where our characters were just doing tons of damage left, right and center, and the bosses couldn't even do anything, and then they were taken out. So yeah, truly disappointing when it comes to Shinryu and Shinryu, especially the latter, because I thought that there would be potential for it, and unfortunately there will not be. Not anymore. There we go, my worst and my best thoughts on Opera Omnia. So I will be saying this is my final video for Opera Omnia. I will not be doing any other videos, I will not be uploading runs. If I do some things in the game, I'll just post it in my community tab with screenshots. I've been doing that for the past few times I've posted there. So yeah, this will be my last video. I am doing some research as to what I can get into. I am actually busy with a video at the moment, a script rather, just to see how things will go, because I am wanting to broaden my horizon and not just focus on mobile games. So I am willing to step out of that bubble and just to do something different. It will be in the realm of gaming still, because I do like games, so I will not be doing mobile exclusive things anymore. Opera Omnia was the only mobile game that I was truly invested in, and I will not be looking into anything else in terms of the mobile game genre. So yeah, I'll say it again, this is my last video on Opera Omnia, and it is sad. I hope everyone is still enjoying Dare to Defy. I haven't even started Dare to Defy because I've been busy with 6-man in JP. I've just been having lots of fun in JP at the moment and doing some co-ops there, global. Not really doing anything there as of yet. Maybe I will do 6-man there too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I hope everyone enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, you can give it a like. And other than that, I hope everyone has a great holiday and a happy new year. And I will see you in my next video next year, where I will be exploring some new things. I will see everyone in the next video in the new year. So I will see you guys. Bye.